Well, first of all, the room with the propaganda has a lot of the windows, and it's always very bright here. It's always full of the light. There's the piano. That's the piano, but it was different piece.
A piano inside of a military facility. That's fascinating.
Of course. What if you want to sing a song about the Soviet Union?
Mm-hmm.
But what I really like are, first of all, those pictures on the glass. They were covering each window in summer when it's too hot. So instead of, some curtains, he would use this. But my favorite part is at this wall. They had to show that Americans are bad, Soviets were good. So they made sure that you recognize those people to be Americans. U.S. ring, cowboy hat, U.S. sign with the helmet.
He's wearing a ring that says U.S. on it.
Yes. So in case if you missed the idea, you do know who that is. It says American peacemakers in Lebanon. And,
Lebanon.
crying women and kids, so you kind of understand what you were supposed to feel. And this sign roughly says that U.S. are trying to break the existing peace in the world by placing weapons all around Western Europe. We are doing the same thing, but just to protect peace.
Right.
So they had some information about American army, some pictures of the tanks and planes.
That's like NATO, though, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
That's a German tornado.
This one also is NATO.
Yeah.
And it says how many, for example, like rockets they America had, how many nuclear submarines. So it had 39 nuclear submarines. And the next one, this is one of the symbols of the Red Army of the Soviet Union. The pilot, the soldier, and the sailor. Sometimes, instead of the pilot, they would feature a cosmonaut, a spaceman. So these were like three types of the fashions that would make sure that Soviets were really strong and they would win.
And the large sign right above. What is that?
I'm really not so good in translating
Propaganda.
propaganda signs because of the words that they use.
It says armament of the bourgeois
Yes.
against the proletariat. There are one of the main. It's not very good at your
One of the most, one of the main, most important factors of the nowadays capitalistic world. That's the saying by Lenin, and the sign
and
says that it's book number 30, wrote by him, page 135.
Just like the Bible.
Look it up yourself.
Your Bible,
It's
more
the
than
Bible.
30 books, yes.
Sounds. Well, we have the same for Bach.
Yeah, so propaganda was a very big part of life. And
Lenin
actually,
is probably above that.
yeah, Lenin had to be somewhere here. And it's actually crazy, but you do not really realize how propaganda works and how communists really controlled everyone. It's not like you just have some, propaganda signs around you and you don't pay attention. Propaganda ideas were everywhere. For example, I don't know whether you paid attention, but when we were in Pripyat, in that apartment with the piano, there was the kitchen, like just a small room without a sink, without anything. It's small. Although Pripyat was the new city, built in the middle of the nowhere, so it had enough room. So why did they make apartments that were not so big? I mean, that apartment that we saw, that was one of the big ones. It was like 3 rooms, I believe. But kitchens were normally small. There was the saying in the Soviet Union, which was like partly joke, that it's impossible to make a revolution, to start a revolution at the kitchen of the 5 square meters. Because how it actually works. Yeah, apartments were very small, and you would have like normally 1, 2, 3 rooms, depending on how many people you would have in the family. So there was no living room. Living room was also someone's bedroom, so there would be the sofa that you open and sleep there. And whenever you have some guests, normally you just get together in the kitchen having some tea or whatever you would like to have. And when you plan to have some rebellious talk, you cannot fit a lot of the people in the tiny kitchen, so you have to go somewhere outside. And outside, someone could report on you, like if you're sitting somewhere in the park, people would pass you and think, oh, what? And they would run to KGB. Sometimes some people would be KGB agents, passing you by. So on one hand, it's funny. On the other hand, that's the thing that's what's common in the Soviet Union, small kitchens. Now, imagine that, now this is normal, but imagine that you got married, and then, I don't know, you have an affair. So someone saw you with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and realized that you're cheating on your wife or husband. So what they have to do, they have to go to the Communist Party office and report on you. I mean, why is that your business? But you have to say, go and say, for example, I've seen Comrade Ivanov with another girl, that's not his wife, he's cheated on her. I know that being the good communist, I have to report. They would say, good comrade, that's your duty, go home. And then, imagine that our Comrade Ivanov works at the factory, Jupiter factory, for example. So what happens? They would call a meeting. Sometimes it was more strict, sometimes it was less strict, but that's a completely normal situation. They would call the meeting of all the employees of the power plant, get together in some concert hall, for example, and there would be like a trial, which basically is not even fair, because they would blame our Comrade Ivanov on cheating, saying that communist people do not do that. You have to be honest, you have to be fair, family is important, and all those things. Our comrade was not even given a chance to reply. So then after, for an hour, for example, everyone blames him, points at him, they would say that, now you have to go home. Okay, we forgive you. Your wife also forgives you. No one also asks the wife. And then they say that if that repeats again, you're going to be expelled from the Communist Party, you're going to be fired and whatever. And our comrade goes home. So now imagine that, again, no one cares whether the wife wants to be with him, whether, they're in love, maybe they don't want to be together. And how come is that the business of the whole plant? But that was normal, to control private life. They were saying that family was not even about love and respect, to be honest. Family was the cell of the community. Cells have to be strong ones. So it's not a very good idea to divorce. And right now, a lot of the old people are saying oh, how come today you're you live together without being married? Or how come people get married and get divorced in 1 or 2 years? Look at us, we used to live 60 years all together. On one hand, that's true. On the other hand, they didn't really have a lot of the options. I mean, it's easier to live with a person who you know than to be blamed by everyone. And back then, you could not buy, rent, or sell some house or apartment, because all the property used to belong to the government. They had to give you this apartment. So on one hand, it's pretty awesome because you get the keys and you don't pay for that. But you have to wait till they give it to you. From a couple of years up to, let's say, 15. And if you get divorced, it means that somehow you have to move to another place, and that's complicated. They will give you a room in the dormitory instead of the apartment, for example. And then you have to decide who your kids live with, and everyone blames you, and it's inappropriate to be divorced. So it was easier just not to live all together. So, propaganda was not only some signs on the wall saying, hooray, Soviet Union is the best place. They would actually interfere, they would actually tell people what to do all the time.
And that's common for all, restrictive regimes, because the Nazis did the same. There was no such thing as privacy, in theory at least, right?
Because if you have some private space or private time, they cannot control you, and they had to. But and the funny thing is that I've asked you whether you read Orwell's 1984. Well, most of the people back then used to say that was written about Soviet Union. The thing is that Orwell, in his interviews, was saying, no, it's not about Soviet Union. This is just generally about the idea. But basically, I wrote it looking at our community. So it's basically about UK, that could be. But when he issued the book, it was such a good time, and all the Western countries used it as propaganda, saying that's communists, But actually, it reminds a lot. The Big Brother was always watching.